In this video, I'm going to show you how to troubleshoot your sketch when you receive this message. This message means that you are over-constraining the sketch. For example, when I have a line in here, I have 1 inch dimension on this point, and then the other 1.5 dimensions on the other side. So if I apply a horizontal constraint, I will receive this message, because with this configuration I cannot make this line a horizontal line. I will have to delete one of these dimensions. If I delete this, then I can apply a horizontal constraint. Now if I apply a vertical constraint, it allows me to do that because it allows me to keep 1 inch the dimension in here, and then 1.5 dimension in here. So it allows me to apply that constraint. Now there's another example. This rectangle, if I try to move this rectangle up and down, I can only move that rectangle with this line. This line, I can move this line, I can move this line, I can move this line, but I cannot move this line. And there's no dimensions in here. So the only possibility is the constraint. So I have to find a constraint why this is not happening. So by seeing the constraint in here, all these constraints are really related to this rectangle. So you can point it out to this constraint. You can see that, you can see this. They are all referring to this rectangle. But you have to understand that there are other places you can apply the constraint. So for example, for this particular rectangle, I put a constraint in here. So this constraint, when you point it out, you will see this coincident constraint, and it actually highlights the lines in here for you. So this means that this point is actually has a constraint to that line. So what I have to do, and if I have to move this part, so I have to go back in here to find that constraint, click on it, delete. Now after I delete that constraint, I can move this up and down. Then I can apply the dimensions in here if I wanted to. Similarly, if I apply a constraint in here, coincident, this point to this line, and now this line, if you look at the line itself, this constraint itself, it won't see anything about how this line is related to this sketch. But by pointing to endpoints, you can see this endpoint and this coincident, and that line is highlighted in red. So this means this has a relationship to that line. So if I have to fix it and remove that the constraint, I have to click on here and delete. Now I can move this line up and down. Now if you use a collinear, and this collinear, you will see the constraint right there. So you will see that in here. But if I use coincident, then I won't be able to see the constraint right away. But I have to point it out. I have to move the cursor to that endpoint to find out where that is. So in this case, that is the one. So after I delete it, I can move this line up and down. And that's how you troubleshoot your sketch. You really have to go through line by line, point by point, and see which one gives you the problem.